All right, so now that we've talked about the basics of adding and subtracting integers, let's level up and start talking about multiplying and dividing integers. So, to get you this basic idea, I want to start you off with just a little story. So, if we have a problem that said I have 3 groups of -4, I'm going to move over here. Let's see what that looks like. So, here is one group of 4 negatives. Here is another group of 4 negatives, and one more group of 4 negatives. So the idea of multiplication is still the same thing. It's just repeated addition. So how many negatives do I have here? Well, that's right. That would give me 12 negatives. So if I have 3 groups of 4 bad guys, yeah, that would give me 12 bad guys. So to see if you can figure out what the rule is on your own, I'm going to show you how this looks like in a fact family. So if I know that 3 times -4 is -12, well, that also must mean that -4 times 3 is also -12. I'll give you a hint. This is one of the rules that we are going to be looking at. How do I get negative answers? I'm going to keep going, show you the next 2 parts of the fact family. So I also know that -12 divided by -4 must give me that 3, and -12 divided by 3 should get me that -4. So based on these fact families, this is why we get the rules that we get. So I'm going to show you a couple sample problems, and then we'll start writing down what that rule is. So first one, 5 times -3. So if I have 5 groups of -3, that's -3 plus -3 plus -3 plus -3 plus -3. This should get me to an answer of a -15. Now for this next one, we have a -2 and a -8. I know this story might sound kind of confusing, so if I have -2 groups of -8, well, I'm just going to give you the answer. I want to see if you can figure out the rule. The answer is a positive 16. And for our third one here, we have a -26 times a 4. Well, if I just stack them, I know 26 times 4, that's 24, that's 8, 9, 10. But that is going to be a negative answer. What do you think is going on with the multiplication rule? Let's try one evaluating problem. Let's plug in this x and a y and let's see what happens. So 2 times x, which is -3, times y, which is a -6. So if we look at this first problem here, it sure looks like a positive times a negative is going to get me a negative answer. And if we look at the second problem here, this looks like a negative times a negative is going to get me a positive answer. So a -6 times a -6 should be a positive 36. So what are the rules for multiplying integers? When the signs are the same, the answer is always positive. So that goes back to what you guys learned in elementary school. A positive times a positive is always going to get you a positive answer. Now that we know about integers, you're also going to need to remember that a negative times a negative is also going to give you a positive answer. So the easy way to think about it, when you're multiplying, if the signs are the same, multiply like usual, just make sure your answer is positive. If the signs are different, like this first one and this third one, again, you're going to multiply like usual, but let's fill that rule in. When the signs are different, What kind of answer did we get? The answer is always negative. Now this will hold true no matter how big or small the numbers are that you are multiplying. So same sign gets you a positive answer. Negative signs or different signs will get you a negative answer. So once you have that definition down, I want you to grab a highlighter, go ahead and highlight the rule for multiplication. Signs are the same, it's positive. Signs are different, it's always going to be negative. So now that we have a basic understanding of the multiplication rule, let's take a look at division. So I'm going to do the same thing as before. Let's just talk about these answers. Are the signs the same or are the signs different? They are different. So let's throw a negative there, and 15 divided by 3, that's going to give me an answer of -5. Take a look at the second one. Yes, fraction bars mean division. So this would say -20 divided by -2. Well, a negative divided by a negative, the signs are the same, so my answer must be positive. And 20 divided by 2 gets me a +4. Now, for our third one, I want you to try to think about it. What's the answer going to be, positive or negative? Well, a negative value divided by a positive, that's right, it's going to be a negative answer. So let's use our in and out and set up a little long division. 4 goes out. 532 goes in. So let's go one by one. 4 goes into 5 one time with 1 left over. 4 goes into 13 3 times with 1 left over. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So my answer is -133. Now for our evaluating question. Let's start by plugging these all in where they belong. A is a 3 times B, which is -4, divided by C, which is a -2. So going piece by piece, let's clean up this top, the numerator. So a +3 times a -4, well, that gets me a -12. Signs are different, so it's got to be negative. Now to finish this up, we have a -12 divided by a -2. Signs are the same, so my answer has to be positive. Now 12 divided by 2 gets me a +6. So, what'd you figure out? What is the rule for division? Let's write it like this. Same sign equals, compare that to when they have different signs. Did you find the same rule applies? I sure hope so, because it's literally the exact same thing. Whenever you are multiplying or dividing, if the signs are the same, you're going to get a positive answer. If the signs are different, you will always get a negative answer. So this is the way we're going to need to think about this as we move through the rest of this year talking about multiplying and dividing integers. Same signs are positive, different signs are going to be negative. Now, I want you to pause the video here. Now it's your turn to try. If you flip the page, I want you guys to try to fill out this multiplication chart, then move down to a couple of the word problems, and I'll help you guys out with those and those 6 explore. So pause right now, go ahead and fill this out, press play when you're done, and let's check and see how you did. All right, now that your multiplication chart's all finished up, let's look at these word problems. So our 3 read. First read, an artist is selling paints. All right, so we got an artist who's selling their paintings. Read number 2. What are the quantities and the relationships? Well, this says that they're selling them for $12 a piece, and they made $180. So, how many paintings did they sell? Well, if I had 180 and I divided that by the 12 paintings, that should give me the price per painting. So, let's set up a little long division. In and out. So 12 goes into 18. That's one time with 6 left over. And 12 goes into 60. Well, that would be 5 times. So what does this answer represent? Yeah, the artist sold 15 paintings. Since both of my numbers are positive, it gives me a positive answer. So, second one, let's look at the submarine. Submarine begins its descent from the surface of the water. It dives 20 meters a minute. Well, if it's diving below the surface, that means it's going to go negative 20 every minute. And it says it went for 18 minutes. So negative 20 plus 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 negative 20. I would rather multiply also. So here's our problem, negative 20 times 18. Before we do the multiplication, think about it. What kind of an answer is this going to be? Positive or negative? Well, he's going further and further below the surface, so it's going to be a negative answer. Negative times a positive, signs are different, always a negative solution. So let's multiply this out and see what we get. 18 times 20, that's 0, 0. Let's move over a place value. 8 times 2 is 16, 2 and 3. So he's negative 360 feet. Or you can also say 360 feet below the surface. All right, let's take a look at these last explore problems. I'm going to move through them quickly since you should already have the answers. Let's check and see how you did. So a positive times a negative is a negative answer. That would be 60 and 12, so negative 72. Second one, a negative divided by a negative. Signs are the same, so it's got to be positive. I know 8 times 8 is 64, so the answer must be positive 8. Oh, this next one, we're going to have to work this out a little. But negative times a negative, we know it's going to be positive. So let's see what it's going to be. 53 times 15, that's 15, carry our 1, 25, plus 1 is 26. Drop a 0 so we can move a place value over. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 5 is 5. Add them up, 5, 9, we get 795. We already know the answer is going to be positive. All right, for the next one, a positive divided by a negative is going to give me a negative answer. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 7 one time with 3 left over. And 4 goes into 36 9 times. So there's our answer, negative 119. Now, for our 2 evaluating problems. Again, it's the plug-in game. So we need to evaluate LOL when L is negative 5 and O is negative 6. So our problem would say negative 5 times negative 6 times negative 5. Now, to get our solution, let's go one by one. Negative times a negative, that's going to be a positive 30. And now, positive 30 times a negative 5, well, the signs are different, so it has to be a negative answer. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 0 is 0. So our final answer is negative 150. All right, last one, best one. Let's plug these in. A is 3 times B is 8 divided by C is negative 2 times D is negative 6. All right, we got it all set up. So let's take care of the top. 3 times 8 gives us 24. At the bottom, a negative times a negative, that's a positive, and 6 times 2 is 12. Now to finish this up, last little division problem. What is 24 divided by 12? Should give us a final answer of 2. So, how did you do on this exploration of multiplying and dividing integers? Before you take your mastery check, make sure you go through these sample assessment questions, check the book and see how you did, and finish it up by summarizing in your own words how would you explain the rules for multiplying and dividing. Check in with me and let's see how you do.